Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 15 of the Serious Football Heads podcast, where we talk about the NFL, the week that was, the week that is, and any potential news sources that are, or news stories that are out there. Today, as always, I have Tom on my right here.
Hey, long-time caller, first-time listener.
So, how was your week in the NFL?
Well, much like everyone else's, I think. As we were just saying, I went 7-7 on my picks last week. You went 8-6, so I lost one. I'm back a game from you now. But there were so many just unexpected outcomes last week. It was astounding. The fact that you've got Houston going into Kansas City and
Mm-hmm.
winning. You know, Minnesota, Philadelphia, I thought was a toss-up game. Washington, Miami, I took Miami just because they were home and they lose by a point because they're Miami.
Yep.
Um, Arizona beating Atlanta, Tennessee going into Denver, and just putting up a goose egg.
Yeah. Jets
The
beating the
biggest
Cowboys.
shock, yes, the biggest shock was the Jets beating the Cowboys, I thought, and then the absolutely pathetic performance by the Charger defense on Sunday night.
Yeah, 5 of the
Yeah,
last 6 home primetime games the Chargers have lost.
yeah, and they're people get all caught up on the number of fans in the stands and what have you, and I just don't think that has much to do with it. There's nothing different about that for them. They've done it for years and years, and there are a number of teams around the league that deal with the same thing. Coincidentally, they're all the warm weather teams.
Mm-hmm.
The Raiders are going to come to deal with it next year when they come here to Las Vegas. There will be a significant number of rival fans in the stands. It'll probably be 50-50 at best all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And those are just the things that you learn to deal with. I don't believe that has any input whatsoever on the Chargers not being able to tackle.
Yeah.
There was Connor scored on a touchdown, and Jadavis Brown missed the tackle at the 25 or 30 yard line, and boom, he jumps, just scoots right into the end zone. I would have cut him. I was like, I've been looking at the wire all week long, saying we've got to be making some personnel changes. We've got to be doing something that's going to reinforce the offensive line first of all, and shore up the defense so that we get somebody that can tackle. And the last 2 weeks, they've been down 3 scores in the first quarter. So before people are, even the fans that are there are in their seat, they're down by 21. There's just no excuse for it. And I don't know why this team that last year was so consistent and had so much integrity in terms of personal pride on the field, to not let that kind of thing happen and to make the play that wins the game. Now they're giving up the play that loses the game.
Yeah.
And it's a tremendously frustrating experience, if you can't tell.
I've been there many years with the Seahawks, so I understand entirely.
You know,
So let's see. What have the Chargers done? According to what I saw on NFL.com, the Chargers have only activated a kicker from the inactive squad.
yeah, that's
So
like they've done absolutely nothing. And to me, they need to be out there. They need to make a trade for an offensive tackle. Definitely. They need to they need to replace their right tackle. And I've been saying that for 2 years. He's a 7th-round draft pick that is an adequate player at best, and he was chewed up last week. Just absolutely. TJ Watt killed him. Anybody they put opposite him just decimated him. And,
yeah,
like I said, there's just no reason for it, no excuse for it. I mean, we're out. Granted, Okun's not playing, and he's not the answer, to be perfectly honest. He's an aging tackle. He's mediocre at best, or adequate at best, I should say, and I never thought he was the right answer to begin with. And then Pouncey goes on IR. The hits just keep coming, and so now we've got a totally makeshift line. People have been screaming for Forrest Lamp to get in there and play guard. Well, he played guard last week, and he looked pretty bad. Rivers had no place to go, no time to throw. And when he gets in that mindset, he starts thinking, I have to win this game. I have to make this play. And that's when he starts forcing stuff. And you saw it last week.
yeah,
2 turnovers, boom, and horrific pass on a backward lateral that Devin Bush was able to pick up and score on. And those kind of mistakes, they didn't do that last year. They haven't done that since Anthony Lynn became coach 3 years ago. And yet suddenly now they're playing down to their own potential. And it's just, I don't know,
Yeah,
awful.
at least you guys had it close, within a touchdown.
Well, we went down 24-0, and then we came back and lost it 17-24.
Hey.
I was telling people, and I was texting, hey, we're going to come back and make this really close so that we only lose it by a score.
Yeah.
And that's what we did, and that's what they used to do years ago.
Well, I mean, at least you're not the Titans who put up a goose egg. So
yes, well, that's true. And now we go to the Titans this week, and they make the quarterback change, which I've been saying all along. I don't know why they haven't done this before.
Yeah.
But they make it just before we go into town, and Tannehill kills us every time we play him. We were in Miami a couple of years ago, and Tannehill beat us 33-0. So I don't necessarily think that that's a good thing for us.
So what you're saying is I should tentatively pencil in the Titans for my pick then.
Well, if I was betting with my head, I certainly would consider doing that.
Well, I'm a little surprised that the Rams almost put up a goose egg against the 49ers. I mean, I know the 49ers are playing so well as a team that it's not to be unexpected, but that Rams offense should be just as ferocious. It should have been a one score game instead of a 2 score game.
Yeah, and we've been talking about it for a couple of weeks now. The 49ers are just the biggest surprise in the league right now, and it's not smoke and mirrors. They are playing tremendous football. Their front seven right now might be the best in the league, which again, it's astounding from last year to this year. Garoppolo makes all the difference on offense. They've got a running game suddenly, and they're playing consistent, efficient football and winning because of it. And they're not making mistakes. It's incredible. I'm excited about the 49ers, to be perfectly honest, because I know as a fan, there's nothing more exciting than going from worst to first, particularly when you've been worst for so long and nobody had any expectations for you. And to suddenly see everything that you've been told is going to come together, to see that come together, that's pretty exciting.
Exactly. I have an old neighbor that comes into my work every so often because he works at the mall near where I work, and I'm dreading him coming in because he's going to rub it in that the Seahawks are 5-1 right now, and his team's 5-0. I'm like, you got a bye week. Shut up. That's what my response will be. But the Seahawks, I was joking with you over the weekend. I should change my pick because
I know, and I should have let you.
Well, I mean, it's that. The thing is literally my friend is now 1-5 in road games with the Seahawks. That's how confident I was they were going to lose.
And I heard that stat after we our gig last week. I heard that same stat that they're so bad when they go to the East Coast on the road. But I just was like, yeah, no, they can't. No, they can't go in there and lose like that. So
they almost did though.
And to be honest, had I seen your post earlier, I would have said, sure, go ahead.
But the fact that the Seahawks are 3-0 on the road for the first time since 1980, that's longer than I've been alive.
And Russell Wilson is having one of those years as well. The great game that's coming up, I don't know when it comes up on the schedule, is going to be Seattle, San Francisco.
Yeah, that one is, I think,
it's a couple weeks.
It's our first game after the bye, I think.
So with the way that Russell Wilson's playing and Carson is running and the defense is playing, they're a very exciting team. And it's great to see those. I think it's interesting, the disparity in the league right now. The bad teams are really bad. The good teams are really good. And parity is kind of wavering right now. of course, as soon as I think that, the Jets go and beat the Cowboys. Um, uh, and also, when we're just speaking of the Jets, I had said a couple weeks ago, do not sleep um, on Luke Falk. And you can go ahead and sleep on Luke Falk now because as soon as Darnold came back, they waived him.
Yeah.
So the kid starts 3 games, loses all of them, just for his first starts in the NFL, and then the starter comes back and they waive him. So so much for that.
So we play the 49ers. Wait. Do we not play them till week 14 for the first time?
You play them in what, week 14 and 17, or
No, because our bye is week 11. We're on week 7 right now, right?
yes.
So week 8 we're playing at Atlanta. Week 9 we are playing home against the Bucks. That's the game I'm going to.
Mm-hmm.
Week 10 is away at week 10. We're at the 49ers for Monday, November 11th. Then we're the bye week 11. And then we don't play them again until like week 16 or 17.
Well, that's a late bye.
Well, what's interesting is our game before the bye is prime time. Then our next 3 games after that are prime time as well, alternating Sunday, Monday.
And you can also probably get flexed too. So
Yeah, I'm
keep it
thinking the Eagles game will probably get flexed. Yeah, we don't play them again until week 17 in Seattle. So
yeah, they usually end the season with a divisional game.
yeah, the way it should be actually.
So yeah. So all right. So coming into this week, starting tonight,
Yep.
which is going to be a pretty interesting game. Also, we got the 4-2 Kansas City Chiefs and the 2-4 Denver Broncos in Mile High Stadium. Kansas City's pretty beat up. They got they're starting to rival the Chargers with guys on the sideline. They got 2 linemen that are out, Eric Fisher being one of them. They've got some defensive players down. Their defense isn't all that good to begin with. And going into Denver, who's now suddenly on a roll. They go to LA and beat the Chargers, and then they go home and they, shut out the Titans. And their defense is playing much better. They've got a running game, which is something that Kansas City's having trouble with. So that's going to be an intriguing one. I know I sound like I'm trying to talk myself into taking the Broncos and almost did. I just can't see Kansas City losing 3 in a row.
I can't see them losing 3 in a row either.
And I can't see Denver winning 3 in a row because there's a lot of, I don't know, I just don't have faith in them yet. I'm sure I'll come around once they beat the Chiefs, but at this point in time, no.
I'm right there with you. Taking the Chiefs.
Taking the Chiefs.
Yeah, it's one of those. If this was in Kansas City, I wouldn't have the reservations necessarily that I feel I'm having to kind of pick the Broncos.
Right.
But at the same time, it is. Well, here's an interesting stat that the NFL's put up for the game. Chiefs have 7 consecutive wins against the Broncos. This would be the game that they would lose. You know that, right? The 8th one. But I still think that the overall team cohesiveness with the Chiefs is better than that of the Broncos. And coming back on a short week, I just think the Chiefs prepare better as a team. Andy Reid's always had teams that prepare well. It's just, do they always execute? You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think that they will execute. So I'm going with the Chiefs as well. All right, who do you got next?
Next on my list is the Rams in Atlanta. And another one of these games. Atlanta has underperformed all year long. They should be better than they are, and they're not. They are playing in Atlanta, so that's a little help for them. Now, the question I asked myself last week is, could the Rams lose 3 games in a row? And I was like, yeah. So I picked the 49ers. This week, I'm saying, can the Rams lose 4 games in a row? Yeah, I guess they could, but I'm not doing that. I'm going to take the Rams on the road against Atlanta just because Atlanta's been playing so poorly. I just can't see them rise. I can't see them pulling a jet and rising up and beating the Rams at this point in time.
Yeah. I'm also going with the Rams this week as well because I can't see the Rams losing to a team that lost to the Cardinals. Our division, just for whatever reason, can beat up on the Cardinals like nobody's business. But we can also lose to teams that we should beat,
Right.
I mean, we should have beaten the Saints. I mean, we should be sitting at 6-0, but we just didn't execute. That was on us. That was and I don't want to take any credit away from the Saints. They're playing a phenomenal football without Drew Brees. So I mean, but we should have, by paper, should have actually won that game. But or at least going into it, you know what I mean. So
Yep.
But yeah, I'm going with the Rams as well. I just don't see them losing to the Falcons.
And the big news, of course, out of Los Angeles this week was the trade, Jalen Ramsey to the Rams for 2 first-round picks and a 4th-round pick.
Yeah.
That's an awful lot.
That is a lot to give
for
up.
a guy in his going into his option year.
And with some back injuries too.
Yeah, and a guy that's going to want to be the highest paid defensive player in the league, next year. So I was just astounded at that particular move, and it's a really gutsy move. It's the kind of move the Chargers never make.
Yeah.
And I don't blame them for that. We went through the Bobby Beathard years where we traded away our first-round pick every year, and he'd have a first-round pick. It'd be like in the 20s. And he trades it away to move up into the 2nd round to get some wide receiver or some linebacker out of some small school and try to make him a quarterback or vice versa.
Yeah.
And I bet it was a 10-year span. We didn't have a first-round pick. And every year the draft would come up and he'd deal away next year's again.
Yeah.
And consequently, we lost for a decade. So I'm not a big proponent of trading away first-round picks, and I think that in this case, that is not a trade I would have made.
Yeah.
And on top of that, Ramsey has a personality issue, and just basically talked his way out of Jacksonville.
Yeah, they also have they also had Ndamukong Suh and did good with him. So I mean, I don't think the personality is going to be as much of an issue as people are thinking, but I can understand the concern there. Another interesting note about the game: the Falcons have 4 consecutive wins over the Rams.
Wow.
Granted, most of these are prior to Jared Goff and everything, but
yeah. Oh, all right. Yeah, but for some reason, I'm still thinking that the Rams they're in the same division, and they're not. So,
no.
So that'll be interesting. I doubt Ramsey plays this week. I know as of yesterday, he was just traveling to LA. So maybe they do. Maybe they put him in. But I would think that it's going to take a little bit of acclimation time for him to make that adjustment to the new scheme. So
yeah,
we'll see what happens there. All right. Next up I've got on my list is Buffalo and Miami. Miami traveling to Buffalo.
Yeah.
So little to say in this game, I think. I'm impressed Miami's making the trip. Good for them. And we'll see what happens. That play last week to go for 2 when they did, and then it was just misconceived all the way around. And there are times when in my mind that you make that call when you're on the edge and you want to push your team into a different mindset. Go for 2 to win the game. Do it. That'd be great.
Yeah.
But when you're 0-75 and you just want to try to eke out a win, kick the points, and go into overtime and try to win the game there. It's like I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess you could say it was a gutsy call. I thought it was a foolish call, and it was a rookie head coach call. Is what I thought it was.
Yeah, much along the lines of what Freddie Kitchens did against Seattle last week in the fourth quarter with the touchdown that what he thought was a touchdown that was ruled not a touchdown on the field. No conclusive evidence that it would have been turned over. And then that basically wasted a timeout, and then he calls a timeout later that if he had held on to that timeout, he could have called a challenge before the 2-minute warning on the catch that might not have been a catch along the sideline. That got us in the position to keep the ball going into the 2-minute drill.
Yeah, and that, and rookie head coaches, I think clock management is the biggest issue that they have. I know Anthony Lynn had some real serious issues his first and second year
in terms
of managing clock, particularly at the end of the game. And it's just that all comes with experience, and they all get better as time moves on. But yeah, clock management is always an issue for a rookie head coach.
It is. And I'm assuming that you're taking the Bills just like I am. So
yes, where I was going to say, I'm sure we're both taking the Bills. They're playing really well.
They are.
And we'll see how long it maintains. But they really are playing well, and they've got a very, very favorable schedule coming up.
Yeah, they do.
So they could easily, be in double digits sooner than later.
Yep.
As far as wins go. So, all right. Next up, I've got Jacksonville traveling to Cincinnati.
Yep.
And I could say it again. I'm glad Cincinnati's going to be there.
Well, I hope so. It's their stadium.
They're a surprising team. They have, they borderlined, they're that perennial 8-8 team. And with Marvin Lewis, they always had that going for them. The new guy, or Zach Taylor, is that his name?
I don't.
I think that's who Cincinnati's coach is. For whatever reason, they are playing so badly right now, and Jacksonville going in, even without Ramsey, and even with a losing record, they're still a much better football team than Cincinnati is. Minshew is coming back to earth a little bit in terms of his performance, but he's still running the show and I think doing a great job. He's not losing games for them. He's making good decisions still, and he's very accurate with his passing still. So I think Jacksonville goes in and has a nice afternoon against the Bengals.
Yeah, you're right. It is Zach Taylor is the head coach of the Bengals, and Jacksonville is, I think, going to win this one too. The Bengals just can't get out of their own way. They played the Ravens pretty well last week, and just for whatever reason could not close it out. I want to pick the Bengals. I really do, because there's no way that they're going to go 0-7 to start the season. But the way the Bengals have been playing, both on offense and defense, it's hard to pick against them. They've just been playing against teams that are just that little bit better than them. I mean,
well, what's amazing is that as bad as the Bengals and the Dolphins are playing, I was talking with a friend yesterday saying that there's a minus 400, I think is the line on the Dolphins going 0-16, and there could be 2 0-16 teams.
Yeah,
the Bengals are playing that badly, and I would hate to see that happen, but it's conceivable, particularly at this point. I mean, we both picked against them. We got Buffalo and Jacksonville. They should both win. They'll be 0-7 after this weekend. That's almost the halfway point, and they've not even come close to a win. Well, that's not true. Miami only lost by a point last week, but still, it's conceivable that we end up with 2 0-16 teams.
Mm-hmm. Oh wow,
All right.
Buffalo is a 17-point favorite over Miami.
um,
Wow.
there you go. And that we've seen that a lot this year. We've seen a couple of times where there have been 3-score differences, in the point spread.
Yeah.
Um, the Patriots last week were 17 points and they covered.
Oh yeah.
So it's that goes back to what I was saying earlier. There's a lot more disparity in the league now than there's been before, and the good teams are really good, and the bad teams are really bad.
Yeah. I'm
So
looking through the looking.
ending up with 2-16 teams, that would be just a disaster, I think, for this league.
Yeah, I'm looking at the spread for most of these games. You know, in the order on the footballlocks.com, 3-point favorite for Kansas City, 3-point favorite for Giants, 1-point favorite for Indy, 17 for Buffalo.
Which I think I think a 1-point spread is silly.
Yeah.
There's so few 1-point games in this league. Yeah, granted, there was one last week, but they're just so
Yeah.
few 1-point games. You may as well call it even.
Yep.
So
1.5 for Minnesota, 5-point favorite for Green Bay, Jacksonville 3.5, Rams 3, San Francisco 9.5, Tennessee 2, Seattle 3.5, Chicago 3, Dallas 3, and then Patriots 9.5 over the Jets. I mean, it's like those three large swings of more than a touchdown. You could actually see all three of those actually happening this week.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
So.
What have I got next here? I've got Minnesota and Detroit. Here's an interesting game. What you said, it was a 3-point spread there for Minnesota?
1.5.
No, it's at 1.5, and it's at Detroit. I'm sorry. But Minnesota's a 1.5-point favorite.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's
based on their performance last week.
Yeah, they're also 0-2 in the division this year. So I mean,
yeah, and they're one of these up and down teams. So I've picked Detroit in this game, just because of the way that they've been playing. I know their record is starting to slip, but their performance on the field has still been pretty decent. Stafford's having a good year. The secondary for the Lions is playing really well.
Yeah, it is.
And and that should help counteract a lot of the weapons that Minnesota has. So, and God, they had such a what's his name? Not Thielen, the other guy, had such a strong performance last week with the 3 touchdowns.
Oh, Stephon Diggs.
Yes, and and that secondary is going to help to neutralize that a little bit. So that's pretty much why I decided to pick Detroit.
Yeah, I don't think the Vikings are going to go 0-3 in the division, but I can see that definitely happening. So, and really, this is more of a just to keep the spread against you there. I'm going to go with the Vikings winning at Detroit.
Yeah.
They
showed up strong for you last week.
They did, and they're probably going to let me down this week. I think I've picked Minnesota every week so far.
Yeah, Minnesota for me is one of those teams I can't get a handle on. And they've been playing better than I've anticipated them playing. And I have no trust in them, no faith in them, so I keep picking against them.
Although, here's the thing. Last week should have been the week that they lost. This week should be the week that they would win. So now that they won last week, they're probably going to lose this week. So,
and as I said earlier, having been in Ford Field earlier this year, it was, I think, the loudest stadium I've ever been in, and that includes the Seahawks. It was so loud, and the way the stadium is constructed, on the, I don't know what side it is. It was on my left. There's a press box and all of the luxury boxes, and they just formed this giant wall, and they're backed up against a brick wall on the outside. So it's just the sound bounces off of this wall.
Yeah.
And it was just deafening in there. And now the crowd's enthused because they have been playing well, and they go to the game with the expectation of winning. So I think that's a real factor too, and they've got a great home field advantage.
They do, but again, for Brandon, if he watches this, hashtag sorry not sorry for picking the Vikings. I hope that they win. But yeah, I can't see them going 0-3 in the division. Can I see them going 3-3 in the division for the year? Sure, no problem. Um, but I think that they're going to end up. Um, I could even see them going, 1-5 in the division and with this one win over the Lions. So, but no, my luck, the win over the Lions will be when it's in Minnesota later in the year. So who do we have up next?
Then we've got Green Bay and Oakland. Oakland traveling to Green Bay with the vaunted Oakland offense. I'm very biased in this, and I don't believe in Oakland at all. I know they have been playing better, and credit to them for that. But I think going into Green Bay is going to be a little bit too much for them to handle. And Aaron Rodgers seems to have his feet pointed in the right direction right now, and is, playing with a kind of fire in his eyes for whatever reason. I don't know what that is,
Yeah.
but that's the direction he's been going, and their defense has been playing very well. Um, I just can't see Oakland standing up to them, particularly if there's any kind of weather. I don't know what the forecast is, but it's time for the frozen tundra to start making its appearance, and it's going to be, I think, a little bit dicey for them to get in there and come away with a win.
Yeah, I think much in the same way that you're thinking on this, and that's the 20th. Okay, hold on. I'm trying to get the forecast for Green Bay. I think it's supposed to be mild at best. Yeah, low 60s, upper 50s.
Oh, okay. Well, then that won't be much of a factor. But even so, I anticipate Green Bay taking care of business.
As do I. It's hard to pick against the Packers at home. It really is. Even even if Aaron Rodgers is hurt or anything, because they always seem to manage to pull it out for the fans. And the Packers have a 7 consecutive win streak over the Raiders.
They have an interesting tradition in Green Bay. I didn't know this until we went, well, probably 10 years ago, we went to a Charger game there in early September. And no one will leave the stadium until all the players are off the field. And so we had a situation where Brett Favre threw a touchdown with like 80 seconds remaining to beat the Chargers. And I was pissed off. I just wanted to get out of there.
Yeah.
And I was stuck in the middle of the row, and everyone was standing and no one was moving. And I was like, come on, I want to get out of here. What's going on? And the guy next to me said, oh, no, we never leave until every player's off the field. And I looked around the stadium and no one was leaving. And there was one guy being interviewed on the field. And I'm like, oh, great. Fox News, or Fox Sports, would you get him out of here? And finally they all, the players left and everyone started to walk out. Now, as we're walking out, it was early September. It was like 80 degrees. The only thing we didn't bring to the frozen tundra was sunscreen. And and I'm pissed, and this very, very pretty young lady in a halter top, Green Bay halter top, comes up, takes my hand, kisses me on the cheek, and says, thank you so much for coming. And I thought, well, I'm not in New England, that's for sure.
Yeah, at least you weren't in Philly and your
Yeah,
team
or
was
Philly,
beating.
or Oakland, or whatever. But anyway, I'm taking Green Bay over Oakland.
Yeah, so am I. And
All
nothing
right.
needs to be said.
Here's a game for us to talk about. Indianapolis versus Houston. Houston traveling to Indianapolis. Indianapolis is coming off their bye. They have been a pretty exciting team so far.
Battle for first place in the AFC South.
Yes. So I think this is going to be a very intriguing game. And Houston is one of the hottest teams in the league right now, as far as I'm concerned. Deshaun Watson is playing lights out.
Mm-hmm.
Their defense is, hasn't missed Clowney at all. That was a great trade, by the way.
Yeah,
I think for both people. When they finally get the draft pick, we'll see exactly how it works. But Clowney has fit in so well in Seattle and hardly missed in Houston. So it was, a great deal for both teams. And then Indianapolis, Jacoby Brissett has been playing very, very well. They've got a bit of a defense that's prickly. and a decent running game. So I think this is a toss-up game to me at this point in time. But I'm going to go with the Houston Texans to maintain their run.
Yeah, I'm going with the Texans as well. It is a toss-up game, but I think that coming off of a hot win over Kansas City like they did, it's going to be hard for the Colts after a bye to challenge that. If the Colts had come off of their own impressive win, I might be willing to take the Colts in this one. But coming off of a bye where while you have had time to prep, and I wouldn't be surprised how many of the guys actually might have possibly watched that game, knowing that they were facing the Texans next. I won't be surprised if Indy wins, but I will be surprised if the Texans lose because they were they were miscuing so much. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the other side, you talk about the Kansas City win last week. The other side of that coin is they put so much into going into Arrowhead and winning
Yes.
that they take that breath and there is a letdown going into Indianapolis. I don't see that in this team yet. I think Bill O'Brien is well, first of all, he's one of my favorite coaches in the league. I love listening to him being interviewed, and I love, the way he approaches the team and approaches, his whole philosophy. I don't think that will happen, but it happens a lot. So it sounds like we're both betting on the fact that they're going to be jazzed from beating the Chiefs and going in with enthusiasm to beat the Colts in their own house.
Yeah, because there's something about if this was them going against, say, the Titans, where there's no challenge as of yet for the division, I might be willing to
Mm-hmm.
pick the Titans in that because they would be looking past the Titans. I think.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, this isn't a trap game. That's absolutely
this
true.
is for first place in the division, and if you can get it now, you can hold on to it for the rest of the year if you play as well as you are,
Well,
and
and
that goes for both teams.
yeah, it counts so much for the tiebreaker too.
Yep,
You know, so this will be a good game. I'm looking forward to seeing this.
I am too. Next up, I have is the Cardinals at the Giants.
That's what I've got too, as a matter of fact.
Is it the battle for offensive rookie of the year?
I don't know. I think Gardner Minshew is in that
Oh
discussion and
yes.
needs to be considered for that.
Well,
Um,
remember when it was Russell's rookie year? It was RG3 and who was the other guy?
I don't remember.
Yeah, both of
RG3 won it though.
yeah RG3 won it. Yet we were in the playoffs and we beat Russell Wilson beat RG3. So
Which is all that really counts.
exactly.
So I think these two quarterbacks definitely are also in the discussion. I'm trying to think who else is having a stellar rookie year. Josh Jacobs in Oakland is doing okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Trying to think of other offensive positions.
yeah,
DK Metcalf is just a
DK
beast.
Metcalf is having an okay year. But this tends to go to the splash and wide receiver, running back, or somebody like that has to just be dominating to to take over the quarterback position. And I would. I'm thinking that the three in the running right now would be Daniel Jones, Kyler
Kyler.
Murray, and Gardner Minshew. But Arizona is coming around. They've been playing a lot better. I haven't gotten to see a lot of their games, but watching the highlights, they're playing a lot better. It looks like Murray is making some really good decisions, not turning the ball over too much,
Yeah.
and and he is moving around a lot. And Daniel Jones is just the opposite. He's that drop back passer guy. It hasn't been stellar, I don't think. He's been okay. He's learning, he's learning as he goes, and I think he's been close to solid. So with Arizona going across country into MetLife Stadium, I'm going to take the Giants just because they're the home team.
Yeah, this is one of those ones that's who do you pick? Because both teams rookie quarterbacks. both teams are, for want of a better comparison, both teams are really 2-4. The Lions should have won that first game,
Yeah.
but both teams as a whole are starting to come around. It's just the difference is the quarterback play.
Yep. Both
And
of them have rookie head coaches.
yep. And so I'm thinking that, the offenses are both starting to gel. It's just Daniel Jones is about 2-3 weeks behind in his gelling with his receivers because Eli started the season, whereas Kyler Murray's been the guy since day one pretty much.
Yep.
So I I honestly I think I'm going to go with the Cardinals on this one just because of the fact that they have the longer cohesiveness time frame, They
All right. So that's two differences.
Yep. It's just I can see them coming back. Now the one thing going against them is it is a 10 a.m. game. So I could be wrong here.
So going on, we've got the mighty San Francisco 49ers
I'm just going
going
to pin you in
across
that one.
country to
I,
play the lowly Washington Redskins, coming off their first victory over the lowly Miami Dolphins.
I'll just pin
Um,
you in right now for
Thank
49ers.
you very much. Not a lot to talk about in this game, I don't think. Uh, I'm still astounded every time I watch San Francisco. They are so efficient and so consistent in their play. They are going to be a force, and that front seven, first, second year players, all first round picks. That's for you guys. That's tantamount to Patrick Mahomes playing for the Chiefs, and we know we're going to look at him for the next 15 years.
Yeah.
And you've got this front seven in San Francisco that's going to be there for 5 or 6 years, and
Yeah.
it's going to be a tough road.
It's their version of what we had with the secondary, the Legion of Boom. That's what
Yeah,
it is. Um,
yeah,
there,
and they're building a little dynasty there.
yeah. I'm picking the 49ers as well. I mean, a fool would not. However, a fool would not pick against the or a fool would pick against the 49ers and pick the Redskins. However, this is the definition of a trap game for the 49ers. If they
No,
are
that's very
looking
true.
if they are looking past the Redskins in this, the Redskins are coming off a win, and the Redskins are, I'm pretty sure, as a team, tired of being picked on by the media. You know, even the lowly, like fifth tier media group like we are. Um, but if they have something to prove here, if they can beat the 49ers, and if they beat the 49ers, that'll be interesting.
And
Case Keenum.
Case Keenum has experience in the NFC West because he played for the Rams for
Yep.
those couple of years. So he's played San Francisco before, not this San Francisco team, but he certainly has
He
played
played.
them before.
Yeah, he's played against the founding blocks of that. So
Yeah, so he does have that experience, but still, I just think San Francisco is one of those teams right now that I won't pick against the rest of the year unless they go on this massive losing streak.
yeah, I hear you on that one. Next up, I
All
have
right.
the Chargers at the Titans, the battle of two and
Yep.
four.
Yes, we are. Well, like I said, this is I don't know what's up with this Charger team this year. It's pretty disappointing. I have to tell you, to be to go from the team they were last year and not making stupid mistakes and making plays that win games instead of making plays that lose games, and being a consistent, efficient football team. And I use those words a lot when I describe good teams because that's what I see when I see them.
Yep.
Um, and they have none of that right now. They lack all of those things. I'm not sure that Gordon coming back is a good thing. I thought the running game was much more efficient with just Eckler and Jackson. Um, and I hope that he does something spectacular in this game, and he'll have the opportunity to do it. Like I said, they bench Mariota, and Ryan Tannehill's coming in. Something that I thought Tannehill would beat him out in training camp. To be honest, I don't think he got a shot to do it. He came in last week. He had, they didn't score, but he went like 16 of 18 or something like that, and earned himself the starting position.
Yeah.
He's a Charger killer as far as I can see. Every time I've seen him play, and we had this discussion last week. I'm the only one that has any faith in Ryan Tannehill, because every time we see him, he kills us.
Yeah.
So, of course, I'm picking the Chargers because I always do.
Such a homer.
But I'm not at all confident in this team. I have no confidence in this team at this point. And until they get out and they just efficiently march down the field at the beginning of the game, and they come out and they have a defensive stop at the beginning of the game, and they don't go down 3 scores in the first quarter, it's the same old Chargers otherwise. And that's what's most disappointing, because I thought Anthony Lynn had taken that element out of consideration. And they, like I said, playing down to their potential. And granted, there's a lot of injuries, and that's not an excuse, but it is a reason. Our offensive line is horrific. They can't seem to block anybody. Just a double move coming off the line, and they're on the ground. And Rivers is getting, squashed again. And like I said, he's the guy that when he feels the pressure to win the game, he starts making bad decisions.
Yeah.
And the last 2 games he's played, they were 2 of the worst games he's played in years. So I am taking the Chargers, but
it's with
reluctantly
reservations.
so. And and for whatever reason, it's a 4:00 game back east, so it's a 1:00 game for the Chargers.
So there's not much of a change.
I suppose helps them. I don't know. I've never bought into the whole time change difference.
I haven't either, but I mean, I can see why people would think that, the time change thing. But a stat from NFL is Chargers have won 11 of the 12 of the 11 of the last 12 games against the Titans, including the playoffs.
Yep, and we beat them last year in London. We had a substantial lead. We let them back in the game. They scored the supposedly tying touchdown, and instead of going for the point after to tie it, they went for the 2-point conversion to win it, which the Chargers stopped, and that was the game.
Yeah,
the game was over. So, I that was again a rookie mistake by their coach, and I don't anticipate that happening again. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm taking the Chargers in this one too. My biggest thing is, though, their offense is changing with Tannehill coming in. Their offense as a whole has not put together much in the way of points, period. They had one game, I think, where they were over 20 points in the game, and that was their win against Atlanta in week 4, I think it was. Yeah, they had 24 points. All their other games have been 7, 10, barely breaking double digits. Oh, wait, and I take that back. Their game against the Browns, where they were 43 week 1. I forgot about that one.
Yeah, that was the best game they played all year.
Yeah. Because the next week, when they were facing against the week 2 against the Colts, they only managed 17. I mean, they're not playing as an offense quite as whole as they should.
Well, fortunately, they've got the Charger defense to play against, so that should remedy that for them. I mean, just the run defense, the Charger run defense is so horrific. And they're doing, and like I started at the beginning, they do nothing to fix that.
Yeah.
There are other guys out there. Zach Brown's available. Okay. And granted, he just got released from Philly, but he's a better linebacker than some of the guys we've got on the field. Well, and they're doing nothing to shore that up. They're just, the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. And they're sticking with these guys. And like I said, I would have cut Jadavis Brown last week, missing that tackle on Connor and letting him score that touchdown. He had him in his arms, open field tackle, boom, had him, and just absolutely whiffed on it. Just to get people's attention, because obviously there's something going on that's so different from last year, and the camaraderie is different. The concentration is different. So anyway, Enough of
Yeah.
that. Going
So
on. We've got New Orleans going into Chicago, coming off the bye. Trubisky is supposed to play, last I heard.
yes, that's what I heard as well. Um,
So you got the Drew Brees less New Orleans Saints, who are, I think, 5-0 under Teddy Bridgewater.
yeah,
Again, these backup quarterbacks that have come in this year are doing such a good
yeah.
job across the board.
And on the
Um,
Drew
eh,
Brees front, he's able to throw NFL-sized balls during rehab now. So
yeah, I saw a little Instagram thing of him throwing the football. I anticipate. I think they have a bye next week, and then I anticipate he'll be back. Teddy Bridgewater is just making more and more and more money every time he takes a snap because he's on a 1-year deal. He'll be a free agent after this season, and he's going to get himself a starting job someplace.
actually, the Saints play the Cardinals next week in the other Mercedes-Benz Dome.
Um, that's kind of like a buy.
At this point, yeah. The
So
only thing that would
anyway,
make it more of a buy is if they were playing the Dolphins.
yeah. So anyway, I anticipate Breeze will be back in the next couple of weeks. And then he has to come in and he has to throw 4 touchdowns a game for the rest of the season so that he still has a shot to be the MVP because I got him at 10-1. So anyway, Chicago is on the disappointing side of the specter, I think. People expected much more out of them. They had that horrific opening game, and they've played better since, but they're still an up and down, inconsistent team. And I think New Orleans goes in there and takes care of business and comes out with a win.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you on that one. I got the Saints winning this one too. I don't think it'll be a a blowout. I don't think it'll be anything bad against the Bears. I just think that the way the way that Teddy Bridgewater is playing and having seen it firsthand, it's hard to go against that.
Yeah.
And and although um footballlocks.com have the Bears with the favorite at 3 points, so the home field advantage. So
That's interesting. I think I don't know that people have bought into the Saints.
no, they don't. That's
Um,
just it. They keep expecting the Saints to fizzle out, and like I said back after we
well,
played them,
we've got here in Vegas, the Saints are a 3.5 point favorite.
interesting. Let me refresh mine and see if it's changing anything.
Yep.
Nope.
Yep. Plus 3.5. Saints plus 3.5.
Interesting. I would I'll go off of Vegas anyways before I go with these guys, but
Yeah. And
um
the over under is 37.5, which I guess is about right because I don't anticipate the Bears scoring a lot. I do anticipate the Saints, and this could easily be like a 24-7 game or
oh,
something like
it
that.
could be, but I don't think it will
Um,
be.
I don't see it being, uh, 17-24 or
Yeah.
both teams in the 20s. But apparently Vegas does.
Yep.
So, okay, so I'm taking the Saints,
I've got the Saints
and
as well.
you got the Saints as well. Now, here you go. Tell us about the Baltimore Ravens going into Seattle.
Well, according to the local news in the NFL, the biggest story of this is Earl Thomas coming back to Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
And according to NFL.com, Pete Carroll is like, it's always fun to go against ex players. Um, I I'm a little afraid of what Lamar Jackson could do to our defense. Our defense has not been the most sound at stopping a running quarterback, and yet they go against somebody. Well, they don't always go ones versus ones, obviously, but they go against Russell Wilson. You would think that they would be able to be better at it, but I think what it is that Lamar is almost a clone of Russell to an extent because he can get out of the pocket and make plays happen. But the 12th man in Seattle, I think that's going to be the biggest thing. And I think this is going to be a close but high scoring game. I don't know what Vegas has the over under on in this, but I think it's going to be about a 35-34 type of game.
The over-under is 50. So they agree with you. The Ravens are a 3.5-point favorite going into Seattle. So Seattle's
Really?
a home dog.
I got the opposite over here on the
I
football
find
locks.
it hard to believe. Well, you know what? I'm reading this wrong. See, the Seahawks are minus 3.5, so that puts them.
Yeah, that puts them in at the
Yeah,
favorite.
that puts them in. I always do that. Consequently, I don't bet very often. But the thing about the Ravens, they're 4-2. The 4 teams they have beaten combined do not have 4 wins.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Lamar Jackson has great games against bad teams. The teams that they have lost to, they have contained him and they have lost. And that's what I see happening on Sunday with the Seahawks. Pete Carroll is too smart to not devise some sort of scheme that's going to keep Jackson in the pocket. And while his passing efficiency has improved, it definitely has, he's still not a pocket passer.
No, he's not.
And if you take his legs away from him, he's in real trouble because that limits his game drastically. And I think that's what they end up doing. So I am picking Seattle. And I fully expect the Seahawks, unless they just pull one of those Seahawks, let me just lay down and die games. I fully expect that they will take care of the Ravens. And Lamar Jackson's streak of losing to better teams will continue.
Yeah, I'm just doing a quick count of the because we've had on paper at the start of the season, it doesn't look like we had that bad of a or that weak of a schedule. But the teams that we have beaten so far, we have had um they have had a combined total of nine wins so far. Let's see here. 1, 2, because 2 of them are on the bye this week. 1, 2. That's 4 because it's the Steelers and the Browns. Who else did we play this year? We played the Saints, which we lost, so I'm not counting them. We played the Rams, which was 3. They've won 3, so that's 7 games. Who else did we play this year that we beat? Cardinals, which are 2, 3, and 1. The only team that we played with a winning record or better that we've beaten is the Rams. The other team that has a winning record is the Saints, who we lost to. So,
well, yeah. Still, though, you have played and won against teams with winning records.
yeah,
The Ravens have beaten the Dolphins, the Cardinals, the Bengals, and Cleveland, I think. No, they lost to Cleveland. And I forget who the other team is. But combined, 2 of them are winless, and the other 2 are 2-4. So, the caliber of competition has not really been there for them. And when they do play good teams, they don't play as well. So I'm thinking that Seattle's a good team and that they won't play as well. Plus, traveling into Seattle,
yeah,
that's where it's always hard to win. So, all right, then we got Philadelphia at Dallas.
for Sunday night.
The vaunted Dallas Cowboys with their on the fan hot seat coach in Jason Garrett.
Yep.
Which I think is ridiculous because Jerry Jones is not going to fire Garrett in midseason.
Garrett would have to be sitting at 0-6 right now.
I don't even think if he was 0-6, he would fire. He's never fired a coach at midseason.
No, I'm saying that he would have to be like 0-6, and then lose to the Eagles, like 52-0.
And asking Jerry's wife out on a date because
Yeah.
there's just no way it's going to happen, and I don't know why people keep thinking that there is.
Yep.
And I don't even think it's justified. They start 3-0, and now they're on a losing streak, so they're 3-3. That's hardly the end of the world. I mean, that's 13-3 if you win out.
Yep.
So but I think the real problems are the fact that, I mean, hopefully, if you're a Dallas fan, you can go and say, okay, it was a trap game last week, and we didn't come out ready and prepared to play.
Exactly.
And now we've got the Eagles coming in. We are prepared to play. We are focused. We understand. We made a big mistake last week, because if they win last week, they're 4-2, and nobody's complaining. Instead, they lose to the Jets, and they're 3-3. And granted, as embarrassing as it was to lose to the Jets, it's still only one loss.
Yeah.
You lose a game 52-0, or you lose a game 16-15. It's still only one loss, and you come back from that. So I have picked Dallas at home just for that reason, because I think the embarrassment of last week will carry over, and it's a serious wake-up call for them to get their act together.
Yeah, I'm torn in this one. It's a division game. The Eagles have always played the Cowboys well, even
Oh,
at
no
home,
question. Yep, no
even
question.
in Dallas. So, but the Cowboys have 19 wins at home since 2016 when they opened the AT&T Stadium, third most in the NFL. So it's what? Oh no, they've actually had AT&T open longer than that now. Now that I think about it, because they had that open when I moved over to Colorado. Huh. Interesting that they would pick. I'll have to look it up. But still, it's a division game. Last week, yeah, was kind of a trap game for the Cowboys. They're not going to just let it all go. It's been a pretty consistent Eagles team. They haven't made any major changes to their coaching staff or anything like that, I don't believe, since the last time they played. I'm gonna have to go with the Cowboys in this one at home, just because the home team factor.
Yep.
And I'll just pin you in for the next one, by the way.
Well, yeah, I mean, of course, but talking about trap games, we got the Patriots going into the Jets. Now, the Patriots are seldom victim to a trap game. They look at those games and they start drooling, and those are the games they go out and they just dominate.
Mm-hmm.
But the Jets were a different team last week. Darnold really made a significant difference with that team. Defensively, they played much better. Offensively, New England's not playing great.
No, they're not.
Defensively, they might have the best defense in the league, which is so weird to say. And that's probably the deciding factor right there. But I think this is going to be a lot closer than people think. And because I can see the Jets coming in with a tremendous amount of confidence in this, and a renewed enthusiasm now that they have Darnold back, who just I heard the phrase, he erases mistakes. They call him the eraser, apparently, and he erases other people's mistakes, and that is such an incredible quality to have as a quarterback. So I'm not. It's not. I don't think this is the typical Jets Patriots game. I think the Jets put up a fight. And it's what, 9.5 points you said? Let me check
Yeah,
here.
9.5 favorites.
I'd be tempted to take the Jets and the points if I was betting this game, because I think it's going to be that close. But I am picking New England to win.
Yeah, I'm picking New England to win too. I think it could be a close game, but I think the Patriots are gonna right the ship as far as their struggles on both offense and defense. They always seem to use these division games to try and get some of those wrinkles out, because they go back to more of their base defense.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Patriots as a team have been around for 2 decades now, and there's nothing that these coaching staffs have not seen from these Patriots. So why try to fool them with anything? Just play the basics and march down the field, or stunt the field for the opposing team offense. So it's I
And
think
they,
it's going to be more of like a 2-score game. I think it's going to be about like a 21-10 type of situation, something like
yeah,
that.
it could be. We'll see what happens. See how the Jets play. Patriots did bring back Ben Watson.
Yeah.
Which I think helps them. I don't know what went on with that little scenario. They release him for a week and then bring him back. It was kind of crazy. Michael Bennett is not playing because he's been suspended for conduct detrimental to the team. Apparently, he said a philosophical disagreement with my position coach, which must have involved screaming and throwing chairs. I don't know,
I don't know.
but he won't be playing for them. And that's, I'm sure their rotation will cover that without any kind of real hassle. And we'll see how invigorated the Jets are. And this is like this is like the Patriots going to Miami for me, the way this game feels. And the Patriots are going to win, but there's always a game that they just fall apart in, and they've come close to falling apart a couple times this year.
Yeah.
And it's waiting to happen, and they're not going to go. I don't think they go undefeated. Although you can place that bet here, but I do think the Jets are going to present better than anyone thinks they will.
Oh yeah. No, I can understand that. I think what it'll end up being is it'll be the Patriots are able to go down like at the end of the fourth quarter and just throw up an extra 10 points or so. The whole rest of the game is going to be this, knife's edge. Are the Patriots actually going to lose this thing? Because
Yeah,
that's how the Jets generally have played the Patriots. It's not too often that you see the Jets getting just utterly eviscerated by the Patriots. You usually see that from the Dolphins coming up to the New England or the Bills playing
yeah.
the Patriots. So
It would just be nice if the AFC East would just stand up and split with the Patriots. It would make it so much better on everybody else, because then they don't get home field advantage, and they become a different football team. So anyway,
yeah,
that's the week.
that is the week.
The week in review and the week coming up. So we'll see, and hopefully we both do a little bit better this week than we did last. Some of the guys in Sirius had awful weeks.
Yeah, we have two games split again. You got the Lions, I got the Vikings. You have the Giants, I have the Cardinals, and that's about it.
I know those damn Vikings are going to kill me before the end of the year is over. And as soon as I get on their bandwagon, they'll start losing. I promise you.
Well, here's a bit of news for you. Haskins has taken major steps in practice to replace Case Keenum. Or is that who's there?
Yeah.
Yeah, because Keenum had a rest day, and Haskins took all the first team reps in their practice yesterday. It looks like. So you could be seeing him sooner rather than later.
Interesting in knowing how Jay Gruden had handled Haskins compared to how Callahan is handling him. I got to think that there was a discussion before Callahan took the job that said, we want to develop this kid, so let's develop him. And put a lot more focus on him. And that means not throwing him in until he's ready, of course. But it would be interesting to see what the difference is in practice on how Gruden was handling him and how Callahan is handling him.
Yeah, that will be the interesting thing. So, but we'll never know.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we got this week ready to go, and everybody enjoy your week 7 already of the NFL season. I'll be going to visit my daughters in Portland, so we already have our sports bar picked out for the Charger game, and I anticipate having a great time with my 2 girls and their boyfriends watching the Chargers dominate.
Hold on,
the Tennessee Titans.
Have the boyfriends passed the inspection test? Are they Chargers fans?
One of them has become a Charger fan, the one that's been there the longest. The other is a diehard Carolina Panther fan. And I have to respect that.
Okay, yeah. If they're diehard, you have to respect that.
They were raised, with the understanding that they can love who they love. They can bring home absolutely anybody, except a Raider fan. They're pretty consistent with that. So,
All right. Just I had to make sure because if one of them was a Raiders fan, I'm sure you'd be disowning right now, wouldn't you?
Yeah, no, that would have been a deal breaker from the beginning. They both know they could never have done that. So, yeah, the older one has a boyfriend who is not the biggest sports fan in the world, which is fine, but he is certainly coming around to understanding what Charger football means. We actually saw him this past weekend for lunch, and a story I'll share later when the news breaks.
Yeah.
Um, but my younger daughter's boyfriend is a diehard Panther fan, to the point where actually her name is Kaylin. She calls me one time and she says, "Dad, would it be okay if I got a Panthers jersey?" And I looked at her and went, "What?" I said, "Why don't you just get a hat? That'll work fine. Okay? No, you're not doing a jersey, not yet."
Not until the ring's on it, right?
And that's actually what she said. She said, "Yeah, you're right. Oh, you're right. I'm not doing that unless he marries me, and that's not happening for a long time." So anyway,
All
okay.
right.
So next week, enjoy the weekend, and may your teams come out victorious, unless you're a Tennessee Titan fan.
Go Titans.
There you go. See you later.
Later, guys.